I absolutely love it when Jake Tapper is owned. I even love it more when Jake Tapper owns himself, which is a whole vision that I don't need in my mind right now. He's trying to do a gotcha thing. He's got the Secretary of Agriculture, who's a real star, Brooke Rollins, on the show this Sunday. And this exchange, something about what Trump has inspired in his cabinet on how they handle the media is something to behold. And this is so far my favorite moment, even better than J.D. Vance with Margaret Brennan. And I really don't care, Margaret. Even better than Marco Rubio saying, yeah, I'm not sure free speech caused the Holocaust. This may be my favorite only because Jake Tapper is such a humorless, obnoxious prig. Watch this moment.
You've got 2 days of data. Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left.
But at the end of the day, listen, this whole concept, all right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding an American economy around American good.
Oh, that was so great. That was so fantastic, especially with the dismissive laughter. Oh, okay, Jake. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that laugh. And by the way, it's we're gonna watch it 2 more times. First time, watch her again and watch her dismissive laugh that she couldn't contain herself by the time she heard that suggestion that Jake Tapper is not on the left. Hey, Jake Tapper, by the way, before he became a journalist, before he became a teleprompter reader, he worked on Congress. Did you know that? Yeah, he worked for a congressperson. Yeah. I'm going to ask you while you watch this clip. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to give you one guess. All right. You got to bet your life on it. Do you think Jake Tapper worked for a Republican in the House or a Democrat? You go ahead and put your guess in. Remember, you're betting your life on this. What would you bet for Jake Tapper? Not from the left. Watch.
You've got 2 days of data. Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left.
But at the end of the day, listen, this whole concept, all right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding an American economy.
All right. Did you guess? Have you guessed? Not only did Jake Tapper work for a Democrat in the House of Representatives in Pennsylvania, but the congressperson that he worked for, I believe, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, claim to fame, mother-in-law of Chelsea Clinton. I believe that's the situation. I could be wrong. I've got a lot of little factoids stuffed into my noodle over the decades. But yeah, I believe that Jake Tapper's boss in the House of Representatives is such an entrenched left-wing Democrat that she spawned a child that married Chelsea Clinton. All right. Watch this one more time. This time, watch Jake. It's hard not to watch Brooke Rollins because it's so fantastic. And her dismissive laugh is infectious. Okay, Jake. Oh, okay. You keep telling yourself that. I'm sure your audience agrees. By the way, here's the best part. Jake Tapper telling his audience that he's not from the left actually hurts him in the ratings. Half of those people are like, why? Why am I watching you then? I'm here to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm here to be in an echo chamber. So I don't know whose cred he's trying to build up here and what he's trying to achieve by lying to his audience, not just about, well, watch Jake this time. Watch his face because it's every reason to dislike this man.
Around American good. You've got 2 days of data. Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left.
But at the end of the day, listen, this whole concept, all right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding.
The double blink. He's trying to keep his face. He's trying to keep frozen. Just so you know, it's hard. You got a teleprompter in front of you. You got a camera. You're supposed to act like you're engaging in a conversation with the person you're looking at, but you're not actually looking at that person. Maybe in your peripheral vision, you can see what that person looks like, but really you're just maintaining eye contact with this black piece of glass. And so you're watching and you're trying to keep a straight face. And when she laughed at him, he was trying, and then he gave it this. He gave it the double blink. Watch it again.
All right, Jake, thank you. This whole concept is about rebuilding.
It's just delightful. Now, as you could well imagine, our friends on social media, and specifically with very active video curating X accounts, took this opportunity to find some examples of Jake Tapper being a person from the left. In fact, they didn't have to look far. They had the same program. where he had Tim Walz on. Watch Jake Tapper's performance and Tim Walz's performance and remind yourself of the big, gigantic, like ballistic-sized missile we dodged, with Tim Walz being one heartbeat away from the presidency.
President Trump argues that these tariffs are needed to bring American manufacturing back and to help American workers left behind in places like Minnesota. He has support from the UAW. The UAW called his auto tariffs, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework that has devastated the working class. It signals a return to policies that prioritize the workers who build this country rather than the greed of ruthless corporations, unquote. President Trump argues that these...
Tim Walz. So this is Jake Tapper saying, the UAW supports Trump. Please give me an answer. Explain this to me. This is, I can't have this. It's unconscionable. Begging Tim Walz to make it all make sense. One more clip from Tim Walz and Jake Tapper.
Up for the job of running for re-election, and that this was a major mistake by
he made that decision.
I know, but you all went along with the idea that he was up for it, and he wasn't. And everybody saw it, and the country rejected it.
So he's talking about Joe Biden being unable to fulfill his duties as president. And here's Jake Tapper trying to rewrite history, saying he wasn't up to the job. Everybody saw it. Everybody, Jake? Because I remember you jumping on board with the whole, oh, these videos you see of Joe Biden aren't real. They're cheap fakes. Those right-wingers, they're just making myths out of these videos. They're lying to you. They're manipulating you. But Jake Tapper suddenly has seen religion. He's found the Lord, and he's saying, oh, we all saw it. Nobody believed Joe Biden was able to be the president. No, Jake, you trust me. You were a cheerleader right up until you couldn't be anymore. But he continues down this path, like begging Tim Walz to sort of make it all make sense. And you guys, I'm trying to help you here, but you've got to acknowledge that you were wrong about Biden. Until you do, you've lost credibility. No. It doesn't matter what they say now. Yes, the Democrats who guaranteed us that Joe Biden was fit to run and serve as president of the United States when he clearly wasn't, they've lost credibility with us. But so have you, Jake. So have you.
Yeah, well, look, history will tell us to go back on that. That very well could be the case, Jake. What I'm concerned about is learning from those lessons. I would hope we would never do it again, make a mistake, make sure we go through and get someone. But I don't know where it helps us going forward. I certainly am deeply concerned that Donald Trump is going to lead us down a horrific... Look, thank God it's tariffs that he said. Donald Trump listens to no one. Remember, Donald Trump has statements about, I don't think nuclear war would be that bad. I guess we're lucky that he went after tariffs instead of that route. Yeah. We have an issue in this country that is going to impact us. And if there is not a loyal opposition, if there's not some soul searching on our side, if there's not reaching out to those folks who are in the streets, they're leading right now.
So quick question.
I would tell everybody, you better get with them. Yeah.
Can I just walk down memory lane with you with Jake Tapper? Because we show a lot of Jake Tapper clips on this show. And how many times have we seen Jake Tapper jump in and interrupt a Republican for saying something that he finds objectionable? Whether they're questioning the results of the 2020 election, whether they're questioning the voting methods of 2020, whether they're defending people who got steamrolled by the Justice Department after January 6th, whether they're defending Donald Trump for any one of the laundry list of things that Donald Trump should be defended for. Or let's not forget Laura Trump during the 2020 election, who was literally saying that Joe Biden is cognitively unfit to be president. And now Jake Tapper's acting like, well, we all saw that he was cognitively unfit to be president. There's one consistent through line. Jake Tapper constantly interrupts them, stops them from talking, and then throws them off the show eventually. Tim Walz just suggested that Donald Trump may lead this nation and the world into nuclear war. And Jake Tapper said nothing. Didn't interrupt him, didn't stop him, didn't suggest that it was out of line, didn't protect his audience from hearing such things like he does with a Republican who dares to say, there's only two sexes, male and female. But this is Jake Tapper now saying that he's not a man of the left. I'm not a man of the left. Really, Jake? I'd like Jake Tapper I'd like to introduce Jake Tapper to a journalist that I've been watching over the years. He's on CNN. His name is Jake Tapper. Our buddy Western Lensman over on X, who has a great video curating account. He found quite a few clips to share with you.
Everyone, especially on your side, on the left, is freaking out.
I'm not on the left. Is it possible that the Republican Party is now the party of deranged bigots. Do you think it's racist to vote for President Trump in 2020? A Republican from Florida who lost his legs, by the way, fighting for democracy abroad. Although I don't know about his commitment to it here in the United States. We go through this every single time Republicans control the House. You guys can't pass legislation. You can't govern. We'll see how much congressional Republicans are willing to meet President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris on this field of decency and normalcy. It's not just President Trump that has been eroding norms of decency and
he's had a lot of help.
I hope you don't take this personally, but do you guys have any idea how clownish you look? So Republicans obviously seizing on this horrific tragedy at the University of Georgia. This girl, this nursing student, killed by an undocumented Venezuelan migrant, and they're seizing on this as an example of Biden's failure to protect the American people. It seems like so much of how politicians address these issues is about demonizing the other side on critical race theory, on trans students. I see a lot of people in the Republican Party doing that. There is no evidence of any wrongdoing by either Joe or Hunter Biden. The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. President Trump has gone to, quote, extraordinary lengths to keep specifics about his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin secret, even keeping them from top members of his own administration. Take a listen to how President Trump responded Saturday night when asked directly if he has ever worked for Russia.
I think it's the most insulting thing I've ever been asked. I think it's the most insulting article I've ever had written.
The president did not directly answer the question. It's a stunning turn of events. Do you think the president of the United States ever worked on behalf of the Russians against American interests? Though the original protests are about race and the protesters were almost entirely black, and the team owners whom the president was calling upon to fire or suspend those players are almost entirely white, and the president chose to launch this campaign in front of an almost all-white crowd in Alabama. Despite all that, the president insisted that this has nothing to do with race.
This has nothing to do with race. I've never said anything about race. This has nothing to do with race or anything else.
It is 100% true that the president never said anything about race. He did not have to. This entire discussion is about black men protesting racial injustice. One, of course, wonders why, in the president's view, a black man protesting racial injustice by kneeling during the anthem is a son of a bitch, while whites marching alongside Nazis in the Klan to protest the removal of the statue of a Confederate general is a, quote, very fine person. But I digress.
But he digresses. Jake Tapper, just remember, he's not a man of the left. He's just a straight down the middle, unbiased journalist. You just saw his track record. Let's run those clips of him being as critical of Democrat presidents and Democrat race baiters and don't have that. That doesn't exist. So he invents racism. He invents fascism. He invents Russian collusion where it doesn't exist. And then he never actually reported on Hillary Clinton's collusion with the Russians to create the Russian dossier in the first place. He never actually reports on the Al Sharpton wing of the Democrat Party and their rampant race baiting and division. They don't really do any stories about how Black Lives Matter was a corrupt organization. And he didn't do many stories about that kneeling for the American flag before a football game, about how it affected police officers, veterans, families of veterans who, again, don't care about race. They care about their flag. But Jake Tapper is not a man of the left. I'm glad we could share that with you because he's on CNN, and otherwise you would have never seen it.